The decline of the Islamic civilization. While Europe endured the Dark Ages, Islamic civilization flourished. But then, what happened? 4 things. The first is represented by Inshallah. Everything happens by the will of Allah. So what do you do if you want a bicycle? The obvious conclusion of Inshallah is to pray to Allah for it. In the West, you would work hard, save money and buy the bike. You can see what the result of this is going to be. In the 9th century, Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari argued that, for example, when I drop a pencil, it isn't gravity that makes it fall, it is an action by Allah. If you think there are natural laws, then you are wrong. Everything is an action by Allah. Islam is perfect. The Quran is perfect. Muhammad is the perfect role model. So, if nothing can be done to improve conditions, it makes a lot of sense to do nothing. Even thinking about Islam is a problem, because you might come to a conclusion that is not Islamic. So, don't think. Inshallah. Then the second thing. In 1439, Gutenberg invented the printing press with movable type. This idea spread very rapidly. By 1500, there were printers in 270 cities in Europe. Books became tremendously cheaper, and the flow of information, learning and knowledge accelerated greatly. And then, in 1515, the Ottoman Sultan Selim I, under the advice of Muslim clerics, banned the printing press because it's a sin to print religious books. The penalty was death. That ban continued until 1784. The first book was printed in Iran in 1817. Try to imagine a world without books, and without electronic books, of course. Try to imagine learning calculus, physics, chemistry, astronomy, all without access to books. Inshallah. And the third thing. You might have noticed that a lot of the stars have Arabic names. That's because Islamic astronomy led the world. And then, in 1580, the best observatory in Asia was demolished because Sheikh ul-Islam decided that delving into the secrets of heaven is blasphemous. End of astronomy. The European Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution had no effect in the Ottoman Empire. No science, no technology, no modernization, no economic development. Inshallah. And throughout the whole time, there is the fourth thing, a very, very big and important thing. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of the Quran to Muslims and to Islamic thought. Imagine that you held a book in your hand, a book not merely inspired by God, but actually dictated by God from the master copy of the book in heaven, and copied carefully and faithfully for 1400 years. And you're convinced that what you have is complete and unchanged. It isn't. Surely time spent studying that book would be a better investment than messing around with boiling water or bits of wire and magnets or mechanical contraptions. You could investigate the wonderful properties of the book from God, which seems to contain knowledge that was only rediscovered by scientists 1400 years later. You could count the words in the book and discover the ratio of the word land to sea, or men to women, or month today and decipher the secrets that God has encoded in the book to be discovered by inquiring minds. How much more fertile an area for research this must be compared with counting the properties of the descendants of peas, or arranging the elements in a rhythmic order, or the anatomy of humans. Plus, there's a grave danger. Suppose in studying the development of the human fetus, you discovered that the actual development was different to that described in the Quran. But the Quran is perfect, so your discovery must be mistaken. Indeed, there's a good case to be made for not doing scientific research, because if it agrees with the Quran, then nothing new is discovered. Whereas if it contradicts the Quran, you must have made mistakes. And worse, if you publish research that contradicts the Quran, you're in danger of being seen as an apostate, and the penalty for apostasy, according to the Hadith, is death. And so the study of the Quran and the sayings of Muhammad seduced the finest intellects of the Islamic civilization to turn inwards rather than outwards. The noble Quran became a trap for minds. First, memorize every word, then analyze every word, and every word spoken by Muhammad. Inshallah. In the mid-19th century, the Ottoman Empire was called the sick man of Europe, and the Ottomans realized that they needed to modernize. But it isn't that easy. Now you have a majority of Muslims who just want to get on with their lives, a minority who longs for the world of 650 AD, and a minority who want to modernize. And you can see the relative strengths of these three groups in the various countries in the Islamic world. Muslims, of course, don't see it like that. They blame other people. They blame the West, they blame Christianity, and most of all they blame the Jews. They point to the invasions of the West and explain that the West has stolen their resources. And there's some validity in those claims, but many other countries have suffered invasions but recovered. Another popular view is that the decline is down to the move away from the teachings of Islam, and that to get back to the greatness of the past, they have to get back to the roots of Islam. So, how can Muslims regain their ascendancy? I don't know, and I suspect that they can't. The baton has been passed on, and you don't get it back again. Inshallah.